Joseph Callahan.
Liam Callahan.
Suzanne M. Calley.
Gino Luigi Calvi.
Rocco Camash.
Michael F. Camarada.
David O.D. Campbell.
Jeffrey Thomas Campbell.
Robert Arthur Campbell.
Sandra Patricia Campbell.
Sean Thomas Canavan.
John A. Candela.
Vincent A. Cangelosi.
Stephen J. Cangelosi.
Lisa Bella Canava.
Brian Canizaro.
Michael R. Canty.
Louis Anthony Capricci.
Jonathan Neff Capello.
John Christopher Cappers.
Richard Michael Caproni.
Jose Manuel Cardona.
Dennis M. Carey Sr.
Edward Carlino.
Michael Scott Carlo.
And Donna Angelini's, her family sends their love. Her husband was Joseph Angelini, firefighter, and sends her love. Children send their love to their father. And my brother, firefighter, Michael Francis Lynch. Your boys are doing beautifully. One was 6 months old, one was 2 years old. They have the values that you instilled in our family. Respect life, honor, and trust.
And my wife, Deborah Kaplan. Debbie, we love you and miss you.
E. Kennedy. Norma Cruz Khan. Karen Ann Kincaid. Lieutenant Michael S. Lamanna, United States Navy. David W. Lachek. Dong Chul Lee. Jennifer Lewis. And her husband, Kenneth E. Lewis. Samantha L. Lightborn Allen. Major Stephen V. Long, United States Army. James T. Lynch, Jr. Terrence M. Lynch.
Petty Officer, 2nd Class, Nahaman Leons, the 4th, United States Navy. Shelley A. Marshall. Teresa M. Martin. Ada L. Mason Acker. Lieutenant Colonel Dean E. Matson, United States Army. Lieutenant General Timothy J. Maud, United States Army. Robert J. Maxwell. Renee A. May. Molly L. McKenzie. Dora Marie Menchaca. Patricia E. Mickley. Major Ronald D. Millam, United States Army. Gerard P. Morin, Jr. Odessa V. Morris. Petty Officer, 1st Class, Brian A. Moss, United States Navy. Teddington H. Moy, Lieutenant Commander Patrick J. Murphy, United States Navy Reserve. Christopher C. Newton. Kang Nok Nguyen, Ken Win. Petty Officer, 2nd Class, Michael A. Noeth, United States Navy. Barbara K. Olson. Ruben S. Ornado. Diana B. Padro. Lieutenant Jonas M. Panic, United States Navy Reserve. Major Clifford L. Patterson, Jr., United States Army. Robert Penninger. Robert R. Plogger III. And his wife, Zandra F. Plogger. Lieutenant Darren H. Pontel, United States Navy Reserve. Scott Powell. Captain Jack D. Punches, United States Navy, retired. Petty Officer, 1st Class, Joseph J. Picor, Jr., United States Navy. Lisa J. Raines. Deborah A. Ramser. Rhonda Sue Rasmussen. Petty Officer, 1st Class, Marcia D. Ratchford, United States Navy. Martha M. Reski. Todd H. Rubin. Cecilia E. Richard. Edward V. Rowenhorst. Judy Rowlett. Sergeant Major Robert E. Russell, United States Army, retired. Chief Warrant Officer William R. Ruth, United States Army, Reserve. Charles E. Sabin, Sr. Marjorie C. Salamone. John P. Semartino.
Colonel David M. Scales, United States Army. Commander Robert A. Schlegel, United States Navy. Janice M. Scott. Lieutenant Colonel Michael L. Selvez, United States Army, retired. Marianne H. Serva. Commander Dan F. Shanower, United States Navy. Annette M. Sherman. Diane M. Simmons. And her husband, George W. Simmons. Donald D. Simmons. Cheryl D. Sincock. Chief Greg H. Smallwood, United States Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Gary F. Smith, United States Army, retired. Mary Ray Sopper, Robert Spiesman, Patricia J. Statz, Edna L. Stevens, Norma Lang Sturley, Sergeant Major Larry L. Strickland, United States Army, Hilda E. Taylor, Lieutenant Colonel Kip P. Taylor, United States Army, Leonard E. Taylor, Sandra C. Taylor, Sandra D. Teague, Lieutenant Carl W. Tapie, United States Army, retired, Sergeant Tamara C. Thurman, United States Army, Lieutenant Commander Otis V. Tolbert, United States Navy, Staff Sergeant Willie Q. Troy, United States Army, retired, Lieutenant Commander Ronald J. Vack, United States Navy Reserve, Lieutenant Colonel Karen J. Wagner, United States Army, Meta L. Fuller, Specialist Chin Suk Pak Wells, United States Army, Staff Sergeant Madeline A. White, United States Army, Sandra L. White, Ernest M. Wiltshire, Lieutenant Commander David L. Williams, United States Navy, Major Dwayne Williams, United States Army, Chief Marvin Roger Woods, United States Navy, retired, Captain John D. Yamanicki, Sr., United States Navy, retired, Vicky Yancey, Petty Officer 2nd Class Kevin W. Yoakum, United States Navy, Chief Donald M. Young, United States Navy, Edmund G. Young, Jr., Lisa L. Young, Shuanyang Yang, and her husband, Yuguang Zhang.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation.
Would you help me pray this morning? God, we thank you first for the many blessings you have bestowed upon this amazing country. The freedoms that we appreciate, the leaders that we have, and the amazing support that we see this morning. We pause this morning to remember the 184 lives lost here, as well as those in New York and Pennsylvania, from the deadliest attack on American soil in our history. We remember their names that were just read. We remember their dreams, remember the families, some that are here today that represent them. We remember the emergency responders, the more than 400 police, over 344 firefighters, and nearly 7,000 military service members that gave of themselves in service to our country to rescue, to protect fellow Americans. We remember our country's leadership and all that they did to ensure that this would never happen again. From our presidents on 2001, stated a great people have been moved to defend a great nation. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. In 2010, he said, we stand with one another. We fight alongside one another. We do not allow ourselves to be defined by fear, but by the hopes we have for our families, for our nation, for a brighter future. And in 2020, in the memory of the lives lost, we resolve to stand united, one American nation, to defend our freedoms, to uphold our values, to love our neighbors, to cherish our country, to care for our communities, to honor our heroes, and to never, ever forget. As we enter the 23rd year after that fateful day, we always recall the 23rd Psalm. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. God, whatever valley that we might face as a nation, may we remember this day those that were here, those that served across this great country, and those that stood for a cause greater than themselves, those that stood up to serve their fellow American. May we always remember that day, live our lives in reflection to cherish the freedoms, the many blessings, the amazing liberties of the United States of America. For God and country, amen. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of the lives lost on September 11th, 2001.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, General Mark A. Milley, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Secretary Austin, distinguished guests, and most importantly, the survivors and the families of the fallen, thank you all for participating in this morning's ceremony. Today, we pay tribute to the 2,977 innocent men, women, and children who lost their lives 22 years ago today at this very minute. The incomprehensible acts of September 11th created a void in our nation, left by the thousands who never returned home. Their families feel the absence of fathers and mothers and sons and daughters at birthdays and holidays and graduations and weddings, and on ordinary days of the week when their loss suddenly moves them yet again. And today we honor those who perished, and today we uphold our enduring promise to never forget. At 9:37 a.m., right now, 22 years ago, on September 11th, 2001, American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon, right about where we are. And 184 souls were murdered as terrorism battered America's shores. The hijackers were driven by a twisted ideology rooted in hatred and oppression. And they took the lives of the 59 passengers and crew and the 125 of our Pentagon colleagues. Those terrorists hated America. They hated our Constitution and the values that bind us together as a nation. They hated freedom and democracy and the idea that we are all equal. Those terrorists wanted to destroy our country. But on that day, and every day since, the United States has demonstrated that we would never bow to fear and hatred. Momentarily shaken, the United States rose from the ashes of the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania to show the world that we were still standing, that we could not be toppled, that terror would never destroy us. The New York City Fire Department arrived at the World Trade Center within 6 minutes of the plane colliding into the building. Firefighters, first responders, and everyday heroes led thousands of survivors down dozens of flights of stairs, making repeated trips back into the building, sacrificing their lives so that others may live for people they had never met. The 40 passengers and crew on United Flight 93 fought back against the hijackers, thwarting the terrorists and saving perhaps thousands on the ground. At the Pentagon, many survivors were rescued by their co-workers who were themselves reeling from the explosive force of the impact and nearly impenetrable fire and smoke. Through sheer will and their own knowledge of the building, they plunged into the smoke and debris. Fearless, without regard to their own life, they plunged into that horror that littered the corridors and to seek out the bloodied and the burned survivors and deliver them from the inferno. Amidst the explosions, the fire, and the terror, ordinary Americans demonstrated extraordinary valor and courage. Despite the loss of 125 of our colleagues and a gaping, smoking hole between corridors 4 and 5 of the Pentagon, it did not close. And the leaders of the day assured the American public that the doors of the Pentagon will be open again on September 12th. And indeed, The next day, thousands of military, civilian, and contractors showed up for work, some before sunrise, filled with renewed purpose and determination as the American flag unfolded over the gaping hole. The building was still on fire, yet these incredible men and women continued to defend our democracy and our nation. And over the past 22 years, many more have chosen to step forward and serve the cause of freedom. Every single day, the men and women who have worn the cloth of our nation have protected and defended the principles that were under attack that day. So today, we honor and remember those we lost on that fateful morning. We continue to stand watch on freedom's frontier around the world to ensure that those fallen did not die in vain. Today, we reaffirm our resolve to ensure that our experiment in liberty, this E pluribus unum, continues for future generations. 22 years ago, hatred and terror did not win. It did not destroy America. Freedom and democracy and the very pillars of this great nation continue to endure. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce our Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin III. Thank you, and may God bless the fallen, their families, and may God bless the United States of America.
Well, thank you, General Milley. Good morning, everyone. I am absolutely honored to be here with all of you on this day of remembrance and resolve. And I'm especially moved to be here with the family members of those we lost, with the survivors of the attacks, and with the first responders who raced to save innocent lives. To the families and the loved ones of the 184 people who lost their lives on 9/11 here at the Pentagon and on Flight 77, let me extend my deepest condolences on behalf of the Department of Defense. I know that being here is hard. I know that it aches to remember this milestone year after year. And I know that nothing can make it right. And as the years go by, it may feel that the world is moving on or even forgetting what happened here on September 11th, 2001. But please know this. The men and women of the Department of Defense will always remember. And we will always honor the memory of our fallen teammates. And we will always strive to be worthy of the memory of those we lost. September 11th reminds us that the American spirit still shines in times of testing. After the attacks, amid the horror and the grief, many Americans felt a deeper sense of duty to their communities and to their country. And all around the country, with hearts breaking for the slain and the suffering, Americans looked within themselves and felt called to give back. In those terrible first hours and days, people rushed to give blood, to volunteer in hospitals, or to hand out food and water to exhausted first responders. And here at the Pentagon, an outstanding group of employees and volunteers got a family assistance center up and running in less than a day. And over the next month, over 2,500 people volunteered there. And so they worked long hours to serve hot meals and provide counseling and offer medical care and help families through their grief. You know, not every act of service was monumental. We remember a hug for a soldier on the streets of Manhattan, or a child's handwritten thank you card for a firefighter. But every act of grace changed us, drawing out a strength and a sense of common purpose that became part of the story of that day and part of the story of our country. As the months and years went by, many Americans chose to help those in need or to fortify our security in a newly uncertain world. September 11th made America a nation at war. And hundreds of thousands stepped up to serve our country in uniform. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have come to a close. But we remain relentlessly focused on combating terrorist threats to America. And I want to thank all of my fellow veterans who served in combat during 2 hard decades of war after 9/11, as well as their families for all that they gave. The courage and the compassion that we witnessed after September 11th were even more extraordinary when they came from Americans who lost loved ones. I'm thinking today of Kang Nguyen, who was born in South Vietnam in a time of chaos. He finally made it to America with his family and eventually graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in electrical engineering. And on 9/11, he was working as a systems administrator at the Navy Command Center right here in the Pentagon. He left behind a beloved wife, too, and their 4-year-old son, An. Tu, who also worked for the department, was devastated by her husband's death. But she resolved to be strong to support their son. And so, 22 years later, Tu and An are incredibly close. And their tie has only grown stronger from the loss that they've endured. They talk every day. And she is so proud of the young man.
Y ella está muy orgullosa de a dónde ha llegado este joven, en quién se ha convertido.
An still tries to make his dad proud and to honor his legacy in ways big and small.
Trata de honrar a su padre de todas las formas, grandes y pequeñas.
Kang's love of learning,
Y eso puede significar hacerse eco del amor por aprender o de vincularse con la comunidad, o buscar maneras de ayudar a otros, tal como lo hiciera su padre. Así que en septiembre de 2021, en el 20º aniversario del 11 de septiembre, 2 personas vinieron a visitar este monumento para colocar flores en un banco donde está el nombre de su esposo. Y ella vio las bancas que honran a otros que están aquí. Así que llamó a un amigo y vinieron aquí juntos y colocaron una rosa en cada una de los 184 bancas a nuestro alrededor. Y ahora, gracias a este simple acto de generosidad, cada año, en este día, el Departamento de Defensa honra esa tradición de colocar una rosa en cada una de las bancas para honrar a cada una de las almas que perdimos el 11 de septiembre. Damas y caballeros, es un honor tener con nosotros a Tu y An, Y quiero darles las
and
gracias
all of the families of the fallen.
a ellos y a sus familias y a las familias de todos los caídos.
September 11th
El 11
changed you
de septiembre los
forever.
transformó
But
para
you
siempre,
changed us
pero ustedes nos transformaron a nosotros para
in so
siempre.
many ways. You turned grief into grit
En múltiples maneras, ustedes
and
convirtieron
sorrow into
el
strength.
dolor en coraje
And
y
you
la
helped
tristeza en
us
fortaleza,
to see beyond
y
ourselves
nos
and give back
ayudaron
to
a
our
ver
fellow
más
Americans
allá de nosotros
and to
mismos
deepen our democracy and
y
to
a
work
darle a
toward
nuestros
a
conciudadanos a
stronger,
profundizar nuestra
safer
democracia y a trabajar en aras de un futuro más fuerte y más seguro.
So it is our duty
Así que es
to carry
nuestra
out the missions
responsabilidad
that your loved ones chose.
el honrar y
It's
seguir
our
adelante
duty
con
to
la
live
misión
up
que
to the
escogieron sus
goodness
seres
that
queridos.
they embody.
Es nuestra responsabilidad
And it's our
continuar
duty
con esa
to
obligación que
defend the
ellos asumieron,
democracy that they
y es
loved
nuestra
so much.
obligación el defender la democracia que amaron tanto.
So we will always seek to meet that
Así
challenge.
que siempre trataremos
We will always strive to
de
live up to
hacerle
their
frente a ese
example
reto, de vivir según
and
su
their
ejemplo
memory.
y su recuerdo.
We will always work to keep America safe.
Siempre vamos a trabajar para mantener
And we
seguro
will
a Estados
always,
Unidos y
always
siempre
remember.
vamos a
May God
recordarlos.
bless you all.
Dios los
May
bendiga a
God
todos
continue to bless the United
y
States
Dios
of America.
siga bendiciendo a
Thank you
los
very much.
Estados Unidos de América. Muchas gracias.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of God Bless America.
And now receive the benediction. God, we thank you for this time that we could pause to hear the names, to remember the lives the Americans lost. I thank you for the comfort given to those who have lost friends or loved ones on that fateful day, and how you continue to give peace to those who seek
Día
it.
terrible y cómo le
I
sigues
thank
dando
you for the
consuelo a
courage
quienes lo
displayed by
buscan.
those who
Te
thought of a
agradecemos por la
purpose greater than
valentía
their own,
demostrada por aquellos
reaching into
que
help
encontraron un
wherever
propósito trascendente para asistir a estadounidenses en necesidad. Al recordar este día, te pedimos que seamos fuente de luz y de esperanza para muchos, para que podamos vivir nuestras vidas de una forma en que se refleje lo bueno de nuestro mundo. Ayúdanos a ser mensajeros de esperanza, a ser ejemplo de dedicación, valentía y honor. Y hasta en los periodos de paz o momentos de terror, que el amor y la compasión las sintamos todos. Señor, imploramos con nuestra plegaria que nos sigas bendiciendo con buena voluntad para que podamos servir a otros, militares, civiles, bomberos, que podamos recordar a los que sirven a otros. Honramos a quienes se fueron antes que nosotros y a quienes dieron sus vidas, que cada una de las personas aquí presentes y los que no han podido venir. Dios bendiga a los Estados Unidos de América. Dios y patria. Amén.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for joining us this morning. The Pentagon Memorial, the Pentagon Memorial Chapel, and the Navy Reflection Room are open until 12 p.m.
Please be seated. Thank you, Emma and William.
Por favor, tomen asiento. Gracias, Emma y William. Ana y William representan al Consejo de Estudiantes de Shanksville. Según entiendo, cuando se gradúan en primavera, Emma estudiará ingeniería mecánica en la Universidad de Slippery Rock y William piensa estudiar zoología en Duckman. Felicitaciones. Tenemos la suerte de tener a la comunidad de Shanksville representada en este momento de recordación. Al concluir nuestra ceremonia, bomberos del Departamento de Bomberos Voluntarios de Shanksville abrirán la puerta ceremonial para darle un saludo a los familiares que llegan a este lugar sagrado. Esta respuesta es uno de múltiples elementos que nos conectan con el World Trade Center en Nueva York, el Pentágono y el vuelo 93 en sus respuestas, representando una respuesta sin precedentes de socorristas en la historia de nuestro país. Recordamos los sacrificios de 441 socorristas que perdieron sus vidas en los esfuerzos para salvar a miles de personas esa mañana. Quisiera pedirles a todos que, por favor, se tomen un momento para recordar y agradecerle a un socorrista de su comunidad por su servicio. Ayuden a honrar a los 40 pasajeros y tripulantes. Aquí está Jacob Miller, un egresado de la clase de 2023. Jacob fue testigo presencial del percance del vuelo 93. Después se incorporó a la Junta del Memorial y hoy es el curador del Centro Histórico de Somerset, donde ayuda a educar a todas las generaciones acerca de la historia del condado de Somerset. El señor Miller dará lectura a los nombres, acompañado de miembros de las familias quienes han hecho su viaje hasta aquí desde todo el país para leer los nombres de sus seres queridos. Junto con Jacob y los familiares esta mañana están Joy Knapp y Jen Loney. Joy se retiró tras una carrera de 27 años en educación pública como profesor de arte. Muchos estuvieron cerca de aquí. Ella dio clases desde preescolar hasta secundaria. El 11 de septiembre estaba con un grupo de estudiantes de tercer grado en la escuela de Shanksville cuando se estrelló el vuelo 93. Joy siguió compartiendo hasta el día de hoy su pasión por el arte como profesora de joyería. Reflexionando en los días subsiguientes al 11 de septiembre, dice, aunque somos una pequeña escuela rural y a veces nos sentimos aislados del resto del mundo, realmente estamos conectados con otros y no estamos solos. Fin de la cita. Jen Loney es un artista metalúrgico de Pittsburgh. Después del 11 de septiembre, Jan fue comisionado como artista residente para trabajar con la escuela de Shanksville para crear una escultura con los estudiantes para un memorial del 11 de septiembre. Jan cree, cito, Fue quizá una de mis tareas más difíciles. Fin de la cita. Trabajó muy de cerca con Jan para incorporar a los estudiantes en un proceso colaborativo, dejando que las voces de los estudiantes guiaran el proyecto. Jan considera que al concentrarse en la forma en que la gente se ayudó el 11 de septiembre, se podían hacer impresiones de la huella de los estudiantes para unir a todos los que vivieron el 11 de septiembre para seguir enviando un mensaje positivo desde entonces y para la posteridad sobre cómo confrontamos una terrible adversidad. La escultura se llama Manos y nos recuerda a todos de la diferencia que podemos hacer. Después que se lea cada uno de los nombres, la señora Nad y la señorita Lonnie tocarán la campana de la recordación en memoria de los 40 pasajeros y tripulantes del vuelo 93. Para concluir el momento de recordación, el rabino Hassan Jeffrey Myers, de la congregación Tree of Life de Pittsburgh, ofrecerá una plegaria ecuménica de clausura, sanación y paz. Quiero invitar a las familias que están aquí para que nos acompañen a una ceremonia privada en el lugar del suceso. Gracias.
Christian Adams. Lorraine G. Bay. Todd M. Beamer. Alan Anthony Bevan. Mark Bingham.
Diora Francis Bodley.
Sandy Waugh Bradshaw. Marion R. Britton. Thomas E. Burnett, Jr. William Joseph Cashman.
My sister Georgine Rose Corrigan Marisay.
Patricia Cushing.
A wonderful father, brother, uncle, my cousin, Captain Jason M. Dahl.
Joseph DeLuca. Patrick Joseph Driscoll. Edward Porter Felt. Jane C. Folger.
My sister, Colleen L. Fraser.
Andrew Sonny Garcia. Jeremy Logan Glick. Kristen Osterholm White Gould.
My best friend and sister, Wanda Anita Green.
Lauren Catuzzi Grancolis and unborn child. Donald Freeman Green. Linda Gronland.
Richard Gadagno.
my uncle, Leroy Homer.
My son,年明け。
From Chester A. Moore Elementary School and Westwood High School in Fort Pierce, Florida, C.C. Ross Lyles.
Hilda Marson. Waleska Martinez.
Nicole Carol Miller.
Louis Joseph Nackey.
Donald Arthur Peterson. Jean Hoadley Peterson. Mark David Rothenberg. Christine Ann Snyder. John Talignani. Honor Elizabeth Wainio.
And to my cousin, Debbie Jacobs Welsh. May we never forget what they taught us that day. God bless them.
Distinguished guests, family, friends, my name is Jeffrey Myers, and I'm the Rabbi of Tree of Life in Pittsburgh. It is my honor and privilege to offer a concluding prayer at this sacred moment on this holy ground. Within the Jewish faith, our tradition is, upon remembering our loved ones, that we recite a memorial prayer. I will chant it first in the Hebrew and then translate it for you in the English. If you're able to rise, please do so. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamnomim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanefei Hashina B'malot Kedoshim U'Tahorim K'Zohar Rakia Masim Et Nishmot Kol Ele Shehizkarnu Hayom Livracha Began Eden Tei Menuchata Ana Ha'arachamim Hashirem Besetek Nafech Ha'olamim Utzror Bitzror Rachayim Et Nishmotehem Adonai Unachalatam V'yanuku V'shalom Al Mishkevotehem V'nomar exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the souls of all of our beloved we remember this day, who have
Seres
gone
queridos,
to their eternal home.
recordamos este día en que se fueron a su hogar eterno.
We ask that our loved ones
Señor
find
Todopoderoso,
perfect peace
pedimos que
in
nuestros
your
seres
tender
queridos
embrace.
encuentren
Their
paz
memory
en tu
enduring
abrazo.
as
Su
inspiration
recuerdo
for
perdura
commitment
como una
to their
inspiración
ideals
del
and
compromiso
integrity
con sus
in our
ideales
lives.
y la
May
integridad
their
en
souls
nuestras
thus be
vidas.
bound up in the bond of life.
Que
May they
estemos
always
unidos
rest
en
in
el
peace.
nexo de la vida
And let
y
us
que
say,
ellos siempre descansen en paz.
You may
Amén.
be seated.
Pueden tomar asiento.
We've gathered today to
Nos
remember what
reunimos
was,
hoy para recordar
what is,
lo que
and
fue,
what will never be.
lo que es y lo que
We
nunca
recall the
será.
sacrifice of 40 air
Recordamos
travelers and crew
los sacrificios
who epitomize
de
the home of the brave
viajeros y
so that we
tripulantes,
can live in the land of the free.
un ejemplo de lo que significa el ofrendarse para que vivamos en la tierra de los libres. Reconocemos que una generación completa ha crecido, que nunca experimentó el 11 de septiembre. Nosotros tenemos el don de la memoria y con la memoria viene la responsabilidad, la determinación a compartir nuestras historias con esta nueva generación para que a través de ellos nuestros seres queridos puedan seguir viviendo. Lloramos por las generaciones que nunca serán, por la pérdida de estas almas preciosas. Pero aún así estamos agradecidos porque su valentía permitió que incontables seres humanos nacieran y pudieran aprender a apreciar y honrar su valor. Dios eterno, te oramos para que nos des fortaleza, perseverancia y compasión en este 22º aniversario. Invocamos tu nombre para que nos guíes, para que seamos la nación que somos capaces de ser, un faro de luz y de esperanza para todos los olvidados en el mundo. Guía a nuestros líderes para que promuevan la justicia de manera justa. Fortalece las manos de quienes sirven en nuestras Fuerzas Armadas para que puedan completar sus misiones con seguridad y vuelvan a salvo a casa. Permítenos levantar una generación de niños que lleven tu espíritu de bondad, que amen al prójimo como a sí mismos, que luchen para eliminar todas las formas de racismo, odio y prejuicio. Que tus alas de eternidad abracen y le den consuelo a todos los aquí reunidos para honrar y recordar a un esposo, un padre, un hijo, un hermano, un familiar, un amigo. Leemos lo siguiente en los últimos 5 versículos del Salmo 90. Señor, cuán prolongado ha sido el dolor, ten compasión con tus siervos, concédenos tu amor en la mañana para que podamos ensalzarte cada día. Que los días de dolor estén aparejados con los días de alegría, así como los años de sufrimiento. Así tus siervos verán tu poder, tus hijos verán tu gloria. Que Dios nuestro Señor nos muestre compasión y establezca el trabajo de nuestras manos y haga que dé frutos. Que todos los que recordamos hoy sean una memoria de bendición. Y por eso te decimos amén.
Latchman,
Ganesh K. Latcott,
James Patrick Ladley,
Joseph A. LaFalce,
Jeanette Louise LaFon Menachino,
David James LaForge,
and my cousin Noel Mayers. Noel, we love you, we miss you, you'll never be forgotten. Your legacy lives on, and we're grateful to have you as a guardian angel. Until we meet again, cousin.
And my Ridger friends, Brian Bennett, John Candela, Mike LaForte, Sean Lynch from Cantor, and my brother Thomas Harold Bowden Jr. Tommy, it's been 22 years, and I miss your crooked smile.
Michael Patrick Laforte,
Alan Charles LaFrance,
Juan Mendez Lafuente,
Neil Kwong Wei Lei,
Vincent Anthony Layeta,
William David Lake,
Franco Lalama,
Chow Quam Lam,
Michael S. Lamana,
Stephen Lamontia,
Amy Hope Lamonsoff,
Robert T. Lane,
Brandon Mark Lang,
Roseanne P. Lang,
Vanessa Lang Langer,
Mary Lou Langley,
Peter J. Langon,
Thomas Michael Langone,
Michelle Bernadette Lanza,
Ruth Sheila Lappin,
Ingeborg A.D. Larrabee,
Robin Blair Larkey,
Judith Camila LaRocque,
Christopher Randall Larrabee,
Hamidou S. Larry,
Scott Larson,
John Adam Larson,
Natalie Janice Lasden,
Gary Edward Lasco,
Nicholas Craig Lassman,
Paul Lasinski,
Charles A. Sorensen,
Stephen James Lauria,
Maria Lavache,
Dennis Francis Lavelle,
Janine Mary Laverde,
Anna A. Laverty,
Stephen Lawn,
Robert A. Lawrence Jr., and
I have one more. Nathaniel Lawson,
and my cousin Lucia Crifasi. My dear angel Lucy, you got child Gio and I love you every day of our life. Maria and Frank miss you and miss you. Now you are together with my husband, Rosario Floro. Vi voglio bene, mie due grandi amori. May God bless this country.
and my brother, Harvey Joseph Gardner III. Harvey, you're in our prayers and our hearts every day. The courage and compassion, the kindness that you showed on 9/11 and throughout your short life will always inspire us to live better lives. May our loved ones all be at peace. May they feel our love. May they be honored always. And may there be justice and accountability for them and ongoing care and support for those still suffering from 9/11's ongoing impacts.
David W. Lachek,
Eugene Gabrielle Lazar,
James Patrick Leahy,
Joseph Gerard Levy,
Neil J. Levy,
Robert G. LeBlanc,
Leon Labor,
Kenneth Charles Leday,
Alan J. Letterman,
Alina F. Ledesma,
Alexis Leduc,
Daniel John Lee,
David S. Lee,
Young Chu Lee,
Gary H. Lee,
Yoon Jun Lee,
Juanita Lee,
Catherine Blair Lee,
Linda C. Lee,
Lorraine Mary Green Lee,
Mi Young Woo Lee,
Richard Y. C. Lee,
Stuart Soo Jin Lee,
Yang Der Lee,
Stephen Paul Lefkowitz,
Adriana Legros,
Edward Joseph Lehman,
Eric Herdfield,
David R. Leastman,
David Prudencio Lamonge,
Joseph Anthony Lenahan,
John Joseph Lennon Jr.,
John Robertson Lenoir,
Jorge Luis Leon Sr.,
Matthew G. Leonard,
Michael Laporte,
Charles A. Lesperance,
Jeff Levine,
John Dennis Levi,
Alicia Karen Levin,
and my uncle, John M. Poacher, a bond broker at Cantor Fitzgerald. We all miss you so incredibly much and will always carry on your memory with us. Love you forever and always.
and my son, Darrell LaRon McKinney, Tower 1, Cantor Fitzgerald, and his beautiful fiancée, Angela Rosario, which worked for Cantor also. We lost both of them. We, the two families, continue to stay united for 22 years. They say, never forget, we can't forget. We are living their legacy as if they were still here together.
Neil David Levin,
Robert Levine,
Robert Michael Levine,
Shai Levenhar,
Daniel M. Lewin,
Adam J. Lewis,
Jennifer Lewis,
Kenneth E. Lewis,
Margaret Susan Lewis,
Yi Wei Liang,
Orasfri Liang Thanasarn,
Daniel F. Libretti,
Ralph Michael Lichardi,
Edward Lichtshine,
Samantha L. Lightborn Allen,
Stephen Barry Lilienthal,
Carlos R. Lilo,
Craig Damian Lalore,
Arnold Arboleda Lim,
Daria Lin,
Wei Rong Lin,
Nikki L. Lindo,
Thomas V. Linehan Jr.,
Robert Thomas Linnane,
Alan Patrick Linton Jr.,
Diane Teresa Lapari,
Kenneth P. Lira Arevalo,
Francisco Alberto Liriano,
Lorraine Lisi,
Paul Lisson,
Vincent M. Lito,
Ming Hao Lu,
Nancy Liz,
Harold Liscano,
Martin Lazul,
George Andrew Janis,
Elizabeth C. Logler,
Catherine Lisa Laguidice,
Jerome Robert Lohez,
Michael William Lomax,
and my father, Police Officer Paul Talty. We love and miss you always.
and my brother-in-law, hero firefighter, Rescue 1, Kenneth Joseph Marino. I only wish you got to play baseball and softball with Sophia and Zachary.
Stephen V. Long.
Laura Maria Longing.
Salvatore P. Lopes.
Daniel Lopez.
George Lopez.
Luis Manuel Lopez.
Maclovio Lopez Jr.
Manuel L. Lopez.
Joseph Lostrangio.
Chet Deck Louis.
Stuart Side Lewis.
Joseph Lovero.
Sarah Elizabeth Lowe.
Jenny Sue Quang Lo Wong.
Michael W. Lowe.
Gary W. Lozier.
John P. Lazowski.
Charles Peter Lucania.
Edward Hobbs Luckett II.
Mark Gavin Ludvigsen.
Lee Charles Ludwig.
Sean Thomas Lungano.
Daniel Lugo.
Marie Lucas.
William Lum Jr.
Michael P. London.
Christopher E. Lunder.
Anthony Luparello.
Gary Frederick Lutnick.
Linda Ann Rusacone.
Alexander Ligon.
C.C. Lyles.
Farrell Peter Lynch.
James Francis Lynch.
James T. Lynch Jr.
Louise A. Lynch.
Michael Cameron Lynch.
Michael Francis Lynch.
Michael Francis Lynch.
Richard D. Lynch Jr.
And my brother, Francis Jude Feely. I had a nice short speech about what I've missed about my brother Fran these years and what he has missed, like the birth of his two grandsons, Justin and Lucas, his daughter's weddings, how I missed the unity that the country had on September 12th. And I would like to get that back. But I lost a dear friend to suicide this past week, and I cannot let that go without saying something about that tragic loss and all of the tragic losses so many people have suffered. So those of you who are suffering, please reach out, say something. It's okay to say you're not okay. Most people experience periods of not being okay. We can't help you if we don't know. Reach out to somebody, or if you prefer to talk to a stranger, pick up the phone, call or text 988, the suicide prevention hotline. Please, and I thank you.
And my nephew, Gregory Milanowitz. Greg is up in heaven now with his father, Joseph, who we just lost 2 weeks ago. Our family prayers go out to everyone who lost someone 22 years ago. We continue to pray for all of us and for the people that we continue to lose. We will continue as a family to pray, and we are hoping for blessings from above, and we could only say we will never forget. Thank you.
Robert Henry Lynch, Jr.
Sean P. Lynch.
Sean Patrick Lynch.
Terrence M. Lynch.
Michael J. Lyons.
Monica Ann Lyons.
Nahaman Lyons IV.
Patrick John Lyons.
Robert Francis Mace.
Marianne McFarland.
Jan Makajewski.
Susan A. McKay.
William Macko.
Catherine Fairfax McCrae.
Richard Blaine Madden.
Simone Madison.
Noel C. Mares.
Janine Maffio.
Joseph Maffeo.
J. Robert Magazine.
Brian McGee.
Charles W. McGee.
Joseph V. McGaddy.
Ronald Magnuson.
Daniel L. Mayer,
Thomas A. Mahone,
William J. Mahoney,
Joseph Daniel Mayo,
Linda C. Mayer Grayling,
Takashi Makimoto,
Abdu Ali Malahi,
Deborah I. Maldonado,
Mirna T. Maldonado Augusto,
Alfred Russell Malaire,
Gregory James Malone,
Edward Francis Maloney III,
Joseph E. Maloney,
Jean Edward Malloy,
Christian H. Maltby,
Francisco Miguel Mancini,
and my dad, firefighter Christopher Joseph Blackwell, Rescue 3, FDNY.
and my brother Ronald Philip Klepfer, NYPD ESU Truck 7. Remember it like it was yesterday. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss you or think of you. So many life experiences, memories cut short by cowards. You were a father, you were a son, you were a brother, an uncle, a friend, a teammate. You'd be proud of your nieces and nephews, especially Robert and CJ. They are proud to call you their uncle, regardless if you've never met. We miss you, we love you, and we thank you. We never forget.
Joseph Mangano,
Sarah Elizabeth Manley,
Deborah M. Manetta,
Marion Victoria Manning,
Terrence John Manning,
James Maunus,
Alfred Giles Padre Joseph Marchand,
Joseph Ross Marchbanks Jr.,
Laura A. Marchese,
Hilda Marson,
Peter Edward Mardikian,
Edward Joseph Mardovich,
Charles Joseph Margiata,
Louis Neil Mariani,
Kenneth Joseph Marino,
Lester V. Marino,
Vita Marino,
Kevin D. Marlowe,
Jose Juan Marrero,
John Daniel Marshall,
Shelley A. Marshall,
James Martello,
Michael A. Marty,
Karen Ann Martin,
Peter C. Martin,
Teresa M. Martin,
William J. Martini, Jr.,
Brian E. Martineau,
Betsy Martinez,
Edward J. Martinez,
Jose Angel Martinez, Jr.,
Robert Gabriel Martinez,
Waleska Martinez,
Lizzie D. Martinez Calderon,
Paul Richard Martini,
Anne Marie Martino Kramer,
Joseph A. Mascali,
Bernard Mascarenas,
Stephen Frank Macy,
Ada L. Mason Acker,
and my very missed brother, firefighter John James Tibbing II.
and my missed brother Stephen J. Weinberg.
I'd like to share with you this Apache grief blessing. May the sun bring you energy every day, bringing light into the darkness of your soul. May the moon softly restore you by light, bathing you in the glow of restful sleep and peaceful dreams. May the rain wash away your worries and cleanse the hurt that sits in your heart. May the breeze blow new strength into your being, and may you believe in the courage of yourself. May you walk gently through the world, keeping your loved one with you always, knowing that you are never parted in the beating of your heart.
Stephen, as your name is read aloud on yet another 9/11, we remember you as a husband, father, son, brother, and friend. Funny, gregarious, and caring. It's just a few of your special qualities that we miss. And although you're no longer with us, we keep you alive in our minds and our hearts. We will never forget. We miss and love you.
Nicholas George Massa,
Patricia Ann Cimaroli Masari,
Michael Massaroli,
Philip William Mastrandrea Jr.,
Rudy Mastrocinque,
Joseph Mathai,
Charles William Mathers,
William A. Matson.
Marcelo Matriciano.
Margaret Elaine Maddock.
Dean E. Matson.
Robert D. Matson.
Walter A. Matuza, Jr.
Timothy J. Maud.
Jill Maurer Campbell.
Charles A. Morrow, Jr.
Charles J. Mauro.
Dorothy Mauro.
Nancy T. Morrow.
Robert J. Maxwell.
Renee A. May.
Tyrone May.
Keithroy Marcellus Maynard.
Robert J. Mayo.
Kathy N. Mazza.
Edward Mazzella, Jr.
Jennifer Lynn Mazzata.
Karia Mbaya.
James Joseph McAllery, Jr.
Brian Gerard McAleese.
Patricia Ann McKenney.
Colin R. MacArthur.
Brendan F. McCabe.
Kenneth M. McGrair.
John Kevin McVoy.
Michael McCabe.
Thomas Joseph McCann.
Justin McCarthy.
Kevin M. McCarthy.
Michael Desmond McCarthy.
And to the father of Sophie Meredith and myself, whose name I share and who I've never met and who will never be forgotten, David Lucian Williams.
And to my beautiful and loving mom, Deepika Kumar Sedaluri. You are missed every day by so many people. I hope you keep looking over us. Thank you for everything. Love you.
Robert G. McCarthy.
Stanley McCaskill.
Katie Marie McCloskey.
Juliana Valentine McCourt.
Ruth Magdalene McCourt.
Charles Austin McCran.
Toniel F. McDay.
Matthew T. McDermott.
Joseph P. McDonald.
Brian Grady McDonnell.
Michael P. McDonnell.
John F. McDowell, Jr.
Eamon J. McEnany.
John Thomas McErlin, Jr.
Daniel Francis McGinley.
Mark Ryan McGinley.
William E. McGinn.
Thomas Henry McGinnis.
Michael Gregory McGinty.
Ann Walsh McGovern.
Scott Martin McGovern.
William J. McGovern.
Stacy Senis McGowan.
Francis Noel McGuinn.
Thomas F. McGinnis, Jr.
Patrick J. McGuire.
Thomas M. McHale.
Keith David McHeffy.
Ann M. McHugh.
Dennis J. McHugh III.
Dennis P. McHugh.
Michael Edward McHugh, Jr.
Robert G. McIlvaine.
Donald James McIntyre.
Stephanie Marie McKenna.
Molly L. McKenzie.
Barry J. McKeon.
Evelyn C. McKinney.
Darrell LaRon McKinney.
George Patrick McLaughlin, Jr.
And lastly, my loved one, my late wife, Jennifer Lynn Howley, and her unborn child, a woman who brought so much love and joy to not only my life, but to countless others. 22 years seems like a lifetime ago, but there isn't a day that goes by where I don't think of you and your unbelievable smile. Your spirit lives on, particularly with the Performing Arts Center at your high school, which bears your name. It's where current and future students can learn about the believer, the resilient, the vibrant, and stunning beauty that you were. You are forever missed, never forgotten, and forever respected.
And my uncle, Paul Edward Jeffers, we love you, we miss you, and we are reminded and think of you every day.
Robert C. McLaughlin, Jr.
Gavin McMahon,
Robert D. McMahon.
Edmund M. McNally,
Daniel Walker McNeil.
Walter Arthur McNeil,
Christine Sheila McNulty.
Sean Peter McNulty,
Robert William McPadden.
Terrence A. McShane,
Timothy Patrick McSweeney.
Martin E. McWilliams,
Rocco A. Medaglia.
Abigail Medina,
Anna Iris Medina.
Damian Meehan,
William J. Meehan, Jr.
Alok Kumar Mehta,
Raymond Meisenheimer.
Manuel Emilio Mejia,
Escadar Malaku.
Antonio Melendez,
Mary P. Melendez.
Christopher D. Mello,
Yelena Melnichenko.
Stuart Todd Meltzer,
Diarelia Giovanna Mena.
Dora Marie Menchaca,
Charles R. Mendez.
Lizette Mendoza,
Siobhan Alicia Mentis.
Wolfgang Peter Menzel,
Steve John Mercado.
Wilfredo Marcado,
Wellesley Mercer.
Ralph Joseph Marcurio,
Alan Harvey Merdinger.
George L. Marino,
Yamel Josephina Marino.
George Marquires,
And my beautiful cousin, Michelle Marie Reed. You are forever in our hearts, and thank you for continuing to be our guardian angel.
and my uncle Jaisro Malabuyo T. Chavez. Tito, I heard many great stories about you and lots of achievements you have done. I wish I could see you right now alive and well so that I could tell you all the things that I could do and make great memories with you. We miss you very much, Tito. You are always in our hearts.
Deborah Merrick,
Raymond Joseph Metz III,
Jill Ann Metzler,
David Robert Meyer,
Nurul H. Miha,
William Edward McCauley,
Martin Paul Michelstein,
Patricia E. Mackley,
Ronald D. Milam,
Peter Tig Milano,
Gregory Milanovich,
Louise Tomez Molesky,
Sharon Christina Milan,
Corey Peter Miller,
Craig J. Miller,
Douglas C. Miller,
Henry Alfred Miller, Jr.,
Joel Miller,
Michael Matthew Miller,
Nicole Carol Miller,
Philip D. Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Benny Millman. We skipped one.
Robert Cromwell Miller, Jr.,
I'm going to say Benny Miller,
Charles M. Mills, Jr.,
Ronald Keith Milstein,
Robert J. Minara,
William George Minara,
Louis Joseph Minarvino,
Thomas Mangione,
Wilbert Muriel,
Dominic M. Makovich,
Rajesh Arjan Mirpuri,
Joseph D. Mastuli,
Susan J. Mishkovich,
Paul Thomas Mitchell,
Richard P. Muccio,
Jeffrey Peter Meldinick,
Frank V. Mochia Sr.,
Louis Joseph Modafini,
and my uncle, firefighter Gerard Terrence Nevins. Uncle Jerry, we love you and we miss you every day.
And to my brother Rudolph Riccio, Rudy, I can't believe it's been 22 years. Every time I come down here, all I see is the devastation. God bless you. God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Boye Mohammed,
Dennis Mojica,
Manuel D. Mojica Jr.,
Kleber Rolando Molina,
Manuel Justin John Molisani Jr.,
Carl Molinaro,
Manuel de Jesus Molina, I went back,
Brian Patrick Monaghan,
Franklin Monahan,
John Gerard Monahan,
Kristen Lee Montanaro,
Craig Montano,
Michael G. Montesi,
Carlos Alberto Montoya,
Antonio de Jesus Montoya Valdez,
Cheryl Ann Monyak,
Thomas Carlo Moody,
Sharon Moore,
Krishna B. Morthy,
Laura Lee DeFazio Morabito,
Abner Morales,
Carlos Manuel Morales,
Paula E. Morales,
Sonia Mercedes Morales Popolo,
Gerard P. Moran Jr.,
John Christopher Moran,
John Michael Moran,
Kathleen Moran,
Lindsay Stapleton Morehouse,
George William Morell,
Stephen P. Morello,
Vincent S. Morello,
Yvette Nicole Moreno,
Dorothy Morgan,
Richard J. Morgan,
Nancy Morgenstern,
Sane Mori,
Blanca Robertina Morocho Morocho,
Lionel Geronimo Morocho Morocho,
Dennis Gerard Moroni,
and my beautiful sister, Jill Ann Metzler. You were the best daughter, sister, aunt, cousin, niece, and friend to many. We all miss your big smile, your laughter, your zest for life, and soaring free spirit. Our precious memories keep you close. When there is a rainbow in the sky, your mom believes you sent it to us. We all love you and miss you so much. You are always in our hearts.
and my uncle, firefighter Eric Taub Olson. I know you through stories and your sacrifice that will never be forgotten. Thanks for watching over us when we needed it most. We love and miss you every day.
Lynn Irene Morris.
Odessa V. Morris.
Seth Allen Morris.
Steve Morris.
Christopher Martell Morrison.
Ferdinand V. Marone.
William David Moscow.
Brian A. Moss.
Marco Matroni.
Cynthia Motis Wilson.
Yuri A. Muchinsky.
Jude Joseph Musa.
Peter Mutos.
Damian O'Neill Mowat.
Teddington H. Moy.
Christopher Michael Mazzillo.
Stephen Vincent Mulderry.
Richard T. Muldowney Jr.
Michael D. Mullen.
Dennis Michael Mulligan.
Peter James Mulligan.
Michael Joseph Mullen.
James Donald Munhall.
Nancy Muniz.
Francisco Hilario Munoz.
Carlos Mario Munoz.
Teresa Munson.
Robert Michael Murak.
Cesar Augusto Murillo.
Mark A. Marolo.
Brian Joseph Murphy.
Charles Anthony Murphy.
Christopher W. Murphy.
Edward Charles Murphy.
James F. Murphy IV.
James Thomas Murphy.
Kevin James Murphy.
Patrick Jude Murphy.
Patrick Sean Murphy.
Raymond E. Murphy.
And my cousins, firefighter Michael T. Carroll, FDNY Ladder 3, and my cousin, firefighter Peter J. Carroll, FDNY Squad 1. Rest easy, brothers. I have the watch.
And my father, James Robert Ostrowski, who we love and miss every day.
Robert Eddie Murphy, Jr.
John Joseph Murray.
John Joseph Murray.
Susan D. Murray.
Valerie Victoria Murray.
Richard Todd Myrie.
Louis J. Nackey II.
Robert B. Nagel.
Mildred Rose Naiman.
Takuya Nakamura.
Alexander John Robert Napier.
Frank Joseph Naples III.
John Philip Napolitano.
Catherine Ann Nardella.
Mario Nardone, Jr.
Monica K. Narula.
Sean M. Nasani.
Narendra Nath.
Karen Susan Navarro.
Joseph M. Navis.
Francis Joseph Nazario.
Glenroy I. Neblett.
Raymond Marcus Neblett.
Jerome O. Ned.
Lawrence F. Nadell.
Luke G. Nee.
Pete Negron.
Lori Ann Nera.
Ann N. Nelson.
David William Nelson.
Ginger Risco Nelson.
James A. Nelson.
Michelle Ann Nelson.
Peter Ann Nelson.
Oscar Francis Nesbitt.
Gerard Terrence Nevins.
Renee Tetranol Newell.
Christopher C. Newton.
Christopher Newton Carter.
Nancy Yuen Nago.
And my brother-in-law, my wife Eileen's only brother, Reuben Esquilin Jr. A clown, someone that loved to joke around, a shining example of someone who was totally selfless, who coached and refereed as a volunteer on countless teams. And joking till just now, I was online and an acorn hit my head, and I know it was you. Reuben, that was absolutely you. God bless you, and God bless these United States of America.
And my grandfather, Cesar Amaranto Alviar. We love you and we miss you every single day. We hope that we make you proud and can't wait to see you again.
Kang Nigok Nigwen.
Jody Tepedino Nachilo.
Kathleen Ann Nicosia.
Martin Stewart Niederer.
Alphonse Joseph Niedermeyer.
Frank John Niestad Jr.
Gloria Nieves.
Juan Nieves Jr.
Troy Edward Nilsson.
Paul Nimbley.
John Valentine Neven.
Catherine McGarry Noack.
Curtis Terrence Noel.
Michael A. Noeth.
Daniel R. Nolan.
Robert Walter Noonan.
Jacqueline June Norton.
Robert Grant Norton.
Daniela Rosalia Notaro.
Brian Christopher Novotny.
Sochi Nomata.
Brian Nunez.
Jose Nunez.
Jeffrey Roger Nussbaum.
James A. Oakley.
Dennis Patrick Oberg.
James P. O'Brien, Jr.
Michael P. O'Brien.
Daniel O. Callahan.
Timothy Michael O'Brien.
Diana J. O'Connor.
Keith Kevin O'Connor,
Richard O'Connor,
Amy O'Doherty,
Marnie Hunt O'Doherty,
Douglas E. Oschlager,
Takashi Ogawa,
Albert Ogletree,
and my loving brother, Ricknath Jaggernaut. Rick, I know you're in heaven right now listening, and I want you to know that we love you, we miss you, and we will never forget you. And to the terrorists and those who support terrorism, I would like you to know that we hate, we despise your theology, your philosophy, your beliefs. And God bless the United States of America, the greatest country in the world.
and my brother, Donald Walter Robertson, Jr. Donnie, words cannot express how much you are missed and loved. Your legacy lives on through our family, your 4 beautiful children, Michael, Matthew, Madison, Kevin, and soon-to-be granddaughter, your extended family of friends, and of course, Team Shamrock with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. We choose to remember how you lived, so fearless and full of life, rather how sadly you left us. And we vow to never forget. God bless you, Donnie, and God bless these United States of America.
Philip Paul Ognebeni,
John A. Oganowski,
James Andrew O'Grady,
Joseph J. Ogren,
Thomas G. O'Hagan,
Samuel Ortiz,
Patrick J. O'Keefe,
William O'Keefe,
Gerald Michael Alcott,
Gerald Thomas O'Leary,
Christine Ann Olander,
Linda Mary Oliva,
Edward K. Oliver,
Leah Elizabeth Oliver,
Eric Taub Olson,
Jeffrey James Olson,
Barbara K. Olson,
Maureen Lyons Olson,
Stephen John Olson,
Matthew Timothy O'Mahony,
Toshihiro Onda,
Seamus L. O'Neill,
John P. O'Neill,
Peter J. O'Neill, Jr.,
Sean Gordon Corbett O'Neill,
Betty Ann Ong,
Michael C. Opperman,
Christopher T. Orgilowicz,
Margaret Quinn Olorski,
Virginia Ann Ormiston,
Ruben S. Ornado,
Kevin M. O'Rourke,
Ronald Orsini,
Peter Keith Ortali,
Juan Ortega Campos,
Jane Marie Orth,
Alexander Ortiz,
David Ortiz,
Emilio Pete Ortiz,
Pablo Ortiz,
my uncle, Timothy George Grazioso, and my father, John Michael Grazioso. We miss you, we love you, and we think about you every day.
and my father, Norberto Hernandez. We love you and we miss you.
Paul Ortiz, Jr.,
Sonia Ortiz,
Masaru Ose,
Patrick J. O'Shea,
Robert William O'Shea,
Elsie Carolina Osorio Oliva,
James R. Ostrowski,
Timothy Franklin O'Sullivan,
Jason Douglas Oswald,
Michael John Otten,
Isidro D. Ottenwalder.
Michael Chung U.
Todd Joseph Ueda.
Jesus Ovalis.
Peter J. Owens Jr.
Adianis Oyela.
Angel M. Pabon Jr.
Israel Paben Jr.
Roland Pacheco.
Michael Benjamin Packer.
Diana B. Padro.
Deepa Pakala.
Jeffrey Matthew Palazzo.
Thomas Palazzo.
Richard A. Palazzolo.
Oreo Joseph Palman.
Frank Anthony Palumbo.
Alan N. Palumbo.
Christopher Matthew Panettiere.
Dominic Lisa Pandolfo.
Jonas Martin Panic.
Paul J. Pansini.
John M. Paolillo.
Edward Joseph Papa.
Salvatore T. Papasso.
James Nicholas Papageorge.
Marie Papalardo.
Vinod Kumar Parakat.
Vijaya Shankar Paramsathi.
Nitin Ramesh Parandikar.
And my uncle Nurul H. Mia and my aunt Shakila Yasmin. Together they worked for Marshall McLennan on the 97th floor in Tower 1. Their love for each other was the kind found in movies. We love and miss you both.
My brother-in-law Anil Shivhari Umarkar, you would be very proud of your wife, Preeti, for your beautiful daughter, Wamika, to be a strong and confident adult. And my husband, Ganesh K. Ladkat, both of them were in Tower 1, Cantor Fitzgerald. Keep smiling on us.
Pardai Purbo.
James Wendell Parham.
Deborah Marie Paris.
George Paris.
Ji Young Park.
Philip Lacey Parker.
Michael Elaine Parks.
Robert E. Parks, Jr.
Hashmukh C. Parmar.
Robert Paro.
Diane Marie Parsons.
Leobardo Lopez Pascual.
Michael J. Pascuma, Jr.
Gerald Hughes Paskins.
Horace Robert Passananti.
Suzanne H. Passaro.
Anish Rambai Patel.
Dipti Patel.
Manish Patel.
Stephen Bennett Patterson.
James Matthew Patrick.
Manuel D. Patricino.
Bernard E. Patterson.
Clifford L. Patterson, Jr.
Sierra Marie Patty.
Robert E. Pattison.
James Robert Hall.
Patrice Paz.
Victor Hugos Paz.
Stacy Lynn Peak.
Richard Allen Perlman.
Durrell V. Pearsall, Jr.
Thomas Nicholas Pecorelli.
Thomas Pedicini.
Todd Douglas Polino.
Mike Adrian Pelletier.
Anthony G. Peluso.
Angel R. Pena.
Robert Penninger.
Richard Al Penny.
And for my brother, Michael H. Seaman, and Julia's father, Jeffrey Coombs. Mike, you are with us through spirit throughout our lives, especially during the weddings of your children, Michaela DePat, Mary DePaul, and both you and Jeff were with us in spirit at the wedding of Eddie to Julia. Mike, you've been with us in spirit as Dara became a grandmother to baby Hope. And we know you'll be with us in spirit at the birth of your grandson this winter. May God bless all the 9/11 families.
And my uncle, Lieutenant Glenn C. Perry, Sr., it is an honor to be your niece. Although our time was cut way too short, I'm grateful for the 9 years of memories we have. Life is not the same without you.
We love and miss you every day, but find comfort knowing you're in heaven with Grandpa, Aunt Arlene, and Aunt Barbara.
Salvatore F. Pepe.
Carl Allen B. Peralta.
Robert David Peraza.
John A. Perconti Jr.
Alejo Perez.
Angel Perez Jr.
Angela Susan Perez.
Anthony Perez.
Ivan Antonio Perez.
Nancy E. Perez.
Barry Berenson Perkins.
Joseph John Peroncino.
Edward J. Parata.
Imelda H. Perry.
Glenn C. Perry Sr.
John William Perry.
Franklin Allen Persha.
Danny Pesci.
Michael John Pescherine.
Davin N. Pedersen.
Donald Arthur Peterson.
Jean Hoadley Peterson.
William Russell Peterson.
Mark James Petroselli.
Philip Scott Petty.
Glenn Kerwin Petit.
Dominic A. Pizzulo.
Kaylin Elizabeth Pizzuti.
Kevin J. Pfeiffer.
Tuan Pham.
Kenneth John Phelan Sr.
Sania Ann Philip.
Eugenia McCann Piantieri.
Ludwig John Picaro.
Matthew Paserno.
Joseph O. Pick.
Christopher J. Pickford.
Dennis J. Pierce.
Bernard Petronico.
Nicholas P. Petrunti.
And my grandfather, Edward Joseph Papa. Grandpa Eddie, even though I never got to meet you, I feel like I've known you forever. From stories and videos and pictures, it's almost as if you're still here. I feel your presence when the family says grace at the dinner table and when we pray at church. Even though my cousins and I wish we could have known you and had fun with you, we will always remember and honor you every day. We love you, Grandpa Eddie.
Remembering my brother Daniel Van Laer. He is loved and remembered by family, friends, and loved ones.
Theodoros Pigus.
Susan Elizabeth Pinto.
Joseph Piscadlo.
Christopher Todd Pittman.
Joshua Michael Piver.
Robert R. Plaisir III.
Zandra F. Plaisir.
Joseph Plumatalo.
John M. Pocher.
William Howard Holman.
Lawrence Michael Poltish.
Thomas H. Polahamus.
Steve Policino.
Susan M. Polio.
Darren H. Pontel.
Joshua Isua Poptine.
Giovanna Porras.
Anthony Portillo.
James Edward Potorti.
Daphne Puletsas.
Richard N. Poulos.
Stephen Emmanuel Poulos.
Brandon Jerome Powell.
Scott Allen Powell.
Sean Edward Powell.
Antonio Dorsey Pratt.
Gregory M. Preziosi.
Wanda Ivalis Prince.
Vincent A. Princiota.
Kevin M. Pryor.
Everett Martin Proctor III.
Carrie Beth Projan.
David Lee Prume.
Richard A. Pruntney.
John Foster Puckett.
Robert David Pugliese.
Edward F. Poulos,
Patricia Ann Puma,
Jack D. Punches,
Hermaith Kumar Putur,
and my brother, Brian Joseph Murphy. We love you and miss you.
and my brother Michael E. Tinley. Mike was in town for a appointment that day. We had a very fortuitous phone call with him telling me exactly where he was in the North Tower while I looked at him from my apartment 5 blocks away. So it was very interesting as we were planning our lunch date on Wednesday, September 12th. Mike, we miss you. You have a lot of company now with 5 of our other siblings joining you. And your daughters are doing phenomenal. Their families are great. Your grandchildren have been here. 1 year, I know that they'll be here reading your name, and we love you and miss you.
Joseph J. Pysor Jr.,
Edward R. Pycon,
Christopher Quackenbush,
Lars Peter Qualbin,
Lincoln Quape,
Beth Ann Quigley,
Patrick J. Quigley IV,
Michael T. Quilty,
James Francis Quinn,
Ricardo J. Quinn,
Carol Millicent Robales,
Christopher Peter Anthony Raccanello,
Leonard J. Regalia,
Eugene J. Raggio,
Laura Marie Ragnisi Sneck,
Michael Paul Ragusa,
Peter Frank Raimondi,
Harry A. Rains,
Lisa J. Rains,
Etisham Raja,
Vasul Raju,
Edward J. Rawl,
Lucas Rambusek,
Maria Ramirez,
Harry Ramos,
Vishnu Ramsarup,
Deborah A. Ramazar,
Lorenzo E. Ramsey,
Alfred Todd Ranke,
Adam David Rand,
Jonathan C. Randall,
Shreyas S. Ranganath,
Ann T. Ransom,
Fina Rappaport,
Rhonda Sue Rasmussen,
Robert A. Rasmussen,
Aminia Razul,
R. Mark Rossweiler,
Marcia D. Ratchford,
David Allen James Rathke,
and my brother, Asael Ishmael Vasquez. May you be remembered forever. You went to a day of work to provide for your spouse and your daughter and never made it home. You were the glue to our family, and you were the best brother, best son, best dad, best friend to any and everybody who knew you. You were just a light to this world, and now you're just our guardian angel. We love you, and we miss you every single day.
And my dad, Yudhvir Singh Jain. Dad, there's so much to say and not enough time. I never thought the last time I'd see you was when you dropped me off freshman year of college. It was a lifetime ago that I saw you drive away, looking back at me, waving in your red flannel shirt. And the moment the North Tower was hit, I was picking up a package you had sent me. You were always there for me, and I just hope you're proud of who I've grown up to be. Thank you for loving us, Dad, and thank you for being my dad.
William Ralph Raub,
Gerard F. Rousey,
Alexei Rabuzev,
Gregory Rita,
Sarah Ann Redheffer,
Michelle Marie Reed,
Judith Ann Reese,
Donald J. Regan,
Robert M. Regan,
Thomas Michael Regan,
Christian Michael Otto Regenhard,
Howard Reich,
Greg Reedy,
James Brian Riley,
Kevin O'Reilly,
Timothy E. Riley,
Joseph Reyna Jr.,
Thomas Barnes Reinig,
Frank Bennett Reisman,
Joshua Scott Reese,
Karen Renda,
John Armand Rio,
Richard Cyril Rescorla,
John Thomas Resta,
Sylvia San Pio Resta,
Martha M. Reski,
David E. Rettick,
Todd H. Rubin,
Luis Clodoaldo Revilla Mayer,
Edjuvigas Reyes Jr.,
Bruce Albert Reynolds,
John Frederick Rhodes,
Francis Seviero Riccardelli,
Rudolph N. Riccio,
Anne Marie Riccoboni,
David Harlow Rice,
Eileen Mary Rice,
Kenneth Frederick Rice III,
Celia E. Richard,
Vernon Allen Richard,
Irina Kopakova, and a special shout out in honor of my cousin Steve Belson, who was a lifeguard in Rockaway Beach, New York, before becoming a firefighter. So all you lifeguards out there, keep on training, keep on preparing, keep on saving lives. And I want to say one thing, 22 years ago, this site and the lives of so many people were destroyed by one thing, and that's hatred. And America since then has shown the world that the terrorists and the hate must be defeated. So I ask all the people and nations of the world, and even many of our politicians, some who have sadly left this site already, let's stop the hatred. Americans cherish life and freedom. So please, everybody, stop the hate between us all. We deserve better. God bless America, land of the free and home of the brave.
and my sister-in-law, Bella J. Buchan. Bella, you're so loved. So many years have passed, but our memory of you is stronger today than ever before. I remember your smile, the way you used to laugh, the way you danced, your beauty inside and out, your passion for life. Our memories of you and the stories we share keeps us right next to us. We all miss you so much and love you forever.
Claude Daniel Richards.
Gregory David Richards.
Michael Richards.
Venetia Orintia Richards.
Jimmy Riches.
Alan J. Richmond.
John M. Rigo.
Frederick Charles Remley III.
Rose Mary Riso.
Moises N. Rivas.
Joseph R. Ravelli Jr.
Carmen Alicia Rivera.
Isaiah Rivera.
Juan William Rivera.
Linda Evelise Rivera.
David E. Rivers.
Joseph R. Reverso.
Paul V. Ritza.
John Frank Rizzo.
Stephen Lewis Roach.
Joseph Roberto.
Leo Arthur Roberts.
Michael E. Roberts.
Firefighter Michael Edward Roberts.
Donald Walter Robertson, Jr.
Jeffrey Robinson.
Michelle Lee Jean Robotham.
Donald Arthur Robson.
Antonio A. Rocha.
Raymond James Rocha.
Laura Rockefeller.
John Michael Rodick.
Antonio Jose Rodriguez.
Firefighter Anthony Rodriguez.
Carmen Milagros Rodriguez.
Gregory E. Rodriguez.
Marcia A. Rodriguez.
Myra Valdez Rodriguez,
Richard Rodriguez,
David Bartolo Rodriguez Vargas,
and my brother, Ronald J. Rubin. We miss you. We love you. Keep watching over us and show us some more signs. We love seeing them.
and my son, Ryan Daniel Fitzgerald. As it was on September 11th, 2001, so it remains today, 22 years later. Rye Guy, your mom, your sisters, your family, your friends, and I still love you and still miss you so very, very much. May God bless the holy innocents we memorialize today. God bless the FDNY, NYPD, our military, all first responders. God bless New York City, and God bless America.
Matthew Rogan,
Jean Destrahan Rogier,
Carly Rogers,
Scott William Roner,
Keith Michael Roma,
Joseph M. Romignolo,
Efrain Romero Sr.,
Elvin Romero,
James A. Romito,
Sean Paul Rooney,
Eric Thomas Repetia,
Aida Rosario,
Angela Rosario,
Mark H. Rosen,
Brooke David Rosenbaum,
Linda Rosenbaum,
Cheryl Lynn Rosenbaum,
Lloyd Daniel Rosenberg,
Mark Lewis Rosenberg,
Andrew Ida Rosenblum,
Joshua M. Rosenblum,
Joshua Allen Rosenthal,
Richard David Rosenthal,
Philip Martin Rosenswag,
Daniel Rossetti,
Richard Barry Ross,
Norman S. Rossenow,
Nicholas P. Rosamundo,
Michael Craig Rothberg,
Donna Marie Rothenberg,
Nicholas Charles Alexander Rowe,
James Michael Rowe,
Judy Rowlett,
Edward V. Rowenhurst,
Paul G. Ruback,
Timothy Allen Roy Sr.,
Joanne Rubino,
Ronald J. Rubin,
Joanne Rubino,
David M. Ruddle,
and my dear sister, Rena Alana Sam, who I miss dearly, as well as her unborn child. I'll remember her forever. I'm proud to be American, and God bless America, where freedom and justice will prevail.
and my cousin, James Joseph Kelly, Kells. He was a driving force in my life and an incredible human being. Even the train conductor from his train every day came to his funeral. That is the kind of person he was. And there's nothing I can say that will share your life with everyone, but we all are here. The girls are great, and now you have a grandson, and Joe has done amazing. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Mayor Bloomberg, for staying.
Bart Joseph Ruggieri,
Susan A. Ruggiero,
Adam Keith Ruhalter,
Gilbert Ruiz,
Robert E. Russell,
Stephen P. Russell,
Stephen Harris Russin,
Michael Thomas Russo Sr.,
Wayne Allen Russo,
William R. Ruth,
Edward Ryan.
John Joseph Ryan.
Jonathan Stephen Ryan.
Matthew L. Ryan.
Tatiana Rijova.
Christina Sunga Ryuk.
Thierry Sada.
Jason Elisar Sabag.
Thomas E. Sabella.
Scott H. Saber.
Charles E. Sabin Sr.
Joseph Francis Sacerdote.
Jessica Lee Sachs.
Francis John Sudoka.
Jude Elias Safi.
Brock Joel Safranoff.
Edward Saya.
John Patrick Salamone.
Marjorie C. Salamone.
Hernando Rafael Salas.
Juan G. Salas.
Esmerlin Antonio Salcedo.
John Pepe Salerno.
Rama Sali and her unborn child.
Richard L. Salinardi Jr.
Wayne John Solomon.
Nobert Solomon.
Catherine Patricia Salter.
Frank G. Salvatierra.
Paul Richard Salvo.
And my brother, Thomas Swift. Your family loves and misses you. You may have been torn from us that day, but your love and memories will never be torn from our hearts. We miss you. And please take care of Teresa.
And my nephew, David Prudencio Lamagne, age 27, police officer, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. You did not set out to be a hero on that faithful day, but nothing could have deterred you from the selfless sacrifice marked on you by the hand of God since the day before you were born. David, you are missed, you are remembered, you are loved always and forever. On September 11th, we remember our loved ones lost, what occurred here at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But I like to remember what happened on September 12th. We got up, and we continue to get up by coming here year after year. You can't keep Americans down because getting up is what we do best. On September 12th, I walked from Upper Manhattan to this site. Nothing could have prepared me for the horror I witnessed standing on the West Side Highway amid the rubble of what was the two towers. So with that in mind, I'd like to extend a very special thank you to all of our first responders who came from far and wide, but most especially the NYPD, the FDNY, the Port Authority Police Department, and these special men and women who we often sometimes don't even think as first responders, the iron workers. The iron workers who put up buildings in this city and who tear them apart brick by brick. We thank you all, patriots, one and all. You are our heroes. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
Samuel Robert Salvo, Jr.
Carlos Alberto Samaniego.
John P. Sammartino.
James Kenneth Samuel, Jr.
Michael San Philip.
Hugo M. Sene.
Alba Cynthia Jeffries Sanchez.
Jacqueline Patrice Sanchez.
Jesus Sanchez.
Raymond Sanchez.
Eric M. Sand,
Stacy Leigh Sanders,
Herman S. Sandler,
Jim Sands Jr.,
Aileen J. Santiago,
Kirsten Reese Santiago,
Maria Teresa Concepcion Santillan,
Susan Gail Santo,
Christopher A. Santora,
John August Santora,
Mario L. Santoro,
Rafael Humberto Santos,
Rufino C.F. Santos III,
Victor J. Saracini,
Kalyan K. Sakar,
Chappelle Renee Stewart Sarker,
Paul F. Sarl,
Deepika Kumar Sadaluri,
Gregory Thomas Saucedo,
Vladimir Savinkin,
Anthony Sabas,
Susan M. Saar,
John Michael Sabarbaro,
David M. Scales,
Robert Louis Scandol,
Michelle Scarpetta,
Dennis Scauso,
John Albert Sharp,
John G. Scharf,
Fred C. Sheffield Jr.,
Angela Susan Scheinberg,
Scott Mitchell Schertzer,
Sean Shelkey,
Stephen Francis Schlag,
Robert A. Schlegel,
John Schlissel,
Karen Helene Schmidt,
Ian Schneider,
Thomas G. Scholes,
Frank G. Shaw Jr.,
Gerard Patrick Schrang,
Jeffrey H. Schreier,
John T. Schrader,
Susan Lee Laspa Schuler,
Edward W. Shunk,
Mark Evan Schermeyer,
John Burkhart Schwartz,
Mark Schwartz,
Adrian Victoria Sibeta,
Rafael Skorka,
and my soul sister and Annie Christina Songa Yuk. We grew up inseparable, and my heart weighs so heavy without you here with me today. Every day there are reminders all around me of you, and I often ask myself, what would Christina say about this? Working for Cantor Fitzgerald on the 104th floor of the North Tower, you did not survive. We have done our best to turn this tragedy into good by keeping your memory alive. Since 9/11/2001, we have had 27 students receive your scholarship to follow in your footsteps from Westlake High School to the University of Michigan. You would be so proud that your nephew Colin just graduated from U of M this past spring, and your niece Evelyn just graduated from Westlake, and my Mina started her freshman year there. I have taken my 6 kids back to Michigan to see all the places we ate, where we hung out, and hear all the stories about their Aunt Christina. Porter Library's Christina's Corner and the reading room at Westlake High School also keep your memory alive. A big thank you to Andrew, Rob, and all of our Westlake family for their constant efforts to ensure that our future generations will never forget about you or 9/11. Your legacy also continues on as your nieces Elise and Melanie have your name as part of theirs. Christina, you are an example of how one life, even in passing, continues to make such a difference. Your aunts and uncles, cousins, friends, Cleveland sisters, and Michigan sisters miss you so much. Above all else, your mom and dad miss you more than anything. They truly live for the day that they will meet you again. Your Amma and Appa said this, "Keep in peace until we get there, Songa." Let this day be a reminder of the good that can come from such a tragedy, the good that can come from one life loved and lost. A reminder of how our country came together as one to pick up the pieces and rebuild. Let us not be divided today, but stay humbled and reminded of the everyday love, compassion, and gratitude that roots us as a nation. We more than proved that we were capable of this on September 12th. I am humbled and honored to stand before you today. I am humbled and honored to hear the names of the many first responders who bravely marched up those tower stairs to try and save you and so many others. I am humbled and honored to hear the names of so many victims. Christina, we love you, and we will never forget you or 9/11. God bless America. Thank you.
And my aunt, Gufari Kamardinova. I keep thinking about how different life could have been if you were still with us, and I wish that you got to see your nieces grow up and become the people that we are today. I always wondered how joyful life would have been with you, the amounts of fun we'd have, all the family gatherings we'd attend, and the amounts of holidays we'd spend together. I wish I had more of you than just a picture on a frame, and although I never had the chance to meet you, I can tell that I love you so much and that we would have gotten along perfectly. We miss you, and you will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Janice M. Scott.
Randolph Scott.
Christopher J. Scudder.
Arthur Warren Scullin.
Michael H. Seaman.
Margaret M. Seliger.
Anthony Segarra.
Carlos Segarra.
Jason M. Sexer.
Matthew Carmen Seleto.
Lieutenant Colonel Michael L. Selves, U.S. Army retired.
Howard Selwyn.
Larry John Senko.
Arturo Angelo Serrano.
Frankie Serrano.
Marion H. Serva.
Alina Sesanova.
Adele Christine Sessa.
Sita Namala Senarine.
Karen Lynn Seymour.
Davis Greer Cessna Jr.
Thomas Joseph Sroy.
Jayesh Santalal Shah.
Khalid M. Shahid.
Mohammed Shahjahan.
Gary Shamai.
Earl Richard Shanahan.
Dan F. Shanower.
Neil G. Shastri.
Catherine Ann Shatzoff.
Barbara A. Shaw.
Jeffrey James Shaw.
Robert John Shea, Jr.
Daniel James Shea.
Joseph Patrick Shea.
Kathleen Shearer.
Robert M. Shearer.
Linda June Sheehan.
Hagay Sheffy.
Antoinette M. Sherman.
John Anthony Sherry.
Atsushi Shiratori.
Thomas Joseph Schubert.
Mark Schulman.
C. Wang Shum.
Alan Abraham Schwartzstein.
Claren Shelley Siegel Schwartz.
Joanna Sigmund.
Diane T. Signer.
Gregory Sikorsky.
Fighter Stephen Gerard Siller, New York City Fire Department, Squad 1.
David Silver.
Craig A. Silverstein.
Nasima H. Simji.
Bruce Edward Simmons.
Diane M. Simmons.
Donald D. Simmons.
George W. Simmons.
Arthur Simon.
Kenneth Allen Simon.
And my brother, Lieutenant Philip S. Petty, New York City Fire Department, Ladder 12. Phil was someone I always looked up to as we were growing up in Brooklyn. And after hearing about his actions on that horrific day, 22 years ago, he defined for me what a hero is. Phil is loved deeply and missed dearly by our family and his friends. But his legacy lives on as we all share our favorite stories and memories of his life. Love you, Phil. Talk to you later.
And my beloved father, Brian Thomas Thompson. Dad, you have 5 terrific grandchildren, Serena, Teddy, Harrison, Morgan, and Reagan, who you never got to meet. They would have loved to met their grandpa, Brian. We miss you, we love you, and we'll never forget your memory. Thank you, everyone.
Michael J. Simon.
Paul Joseph Simon.
Marianne LaQuarrie Simone.
Barry Simowitz.
Jane Louise Simpkin.
Jeff Lial Simpson.
Cheryl D. Sincock.
Kamladi Hami Singh.
Roshan Ramesh Singh.
Thomas E. Sinton III.
Peter A. Syracuse.
Muriel F. Siskopolios.
Joseph Michael Sisolak.
John P. Scala.
Francis Joseph Skidmore, Jr.
Toyana Corliss Skinner.
Paul Albert Skrzypik.
Christopher Paul Slattery.
Vincent Robert Slavin.
Robert F. Sleewalk.
Paul Kenneth Sloan.
Stanley S. Magala, Jr.
Wendy L. Small.
Greg H. Smallwood.
Catherine T. Smith.
Daniel Lorenz Smith.
Gary F. Smith.
George Eric Smith.
Heather Lee Smith.
James Gregory Smith.
Jeffrey R. Smith.
Joyce Patricia Smith.
Carl T. Smith, Sr.
Kevin Joseph Smith.
Leon Smith, Jr.
Muria Ann Smith.
Monica Rodriguez Smith.
Rosemary A. Smith.
Bonnie Shiade Smithwick.
Rochelle Monique Snow.
Christine Ann Snyder.
Diane Bullis Snyder.
Leonard J. Snyder, Jr.
Astrid Elizabeth Solhan.
Sushil S. Solanki.
Ruben Solares.
Naomi Leah Solomon.
Daniel W. Song.
Marie Ray Soper.
Michael Charles Sorresi.
Fabian Soto.
Timothy Patrick Solas.
Gregory Thomas Spagnoletti.
Donald F. Spapinato, Jr.
Thomas Sparaccio.
John Anthony Spataro.
Robert W. Spear, Jr.
Robert Spiceman.
Maynard S. Spence, Jr.
George Edward Spencer III.
And my brother, Michael Wittenstein. Words cannot express how much you are loved and missed. 22 years, it just feels almost like yesterday sometimes. But you would be so proud of your nieces and your nephews. They're growing up so fast. You're missing out on a lot. We love you and we miss you.
And my uncle, Luis Eduardo Torres. Uncle, I hope you're reading this from wherever you are right now, but I just want to say that even though I never got the chance to speak to you, to hear you, nor meet you in person, I know you're the greatest father, uncle, brother, and friend to everyone. From the stories to the pictures given and told by Mamita, mi abuelo. Along with your siblings, just shows how much of a loving son, brother you were to them. And wherever you went, everyone wanted to be close to you and share a moment with you because of the person you were. And the personality everyone enjoyed. You will always be a walking angel to your family. Te amo mucho, tío, y te quiero para siempre. Blessed be your memory, and I will always love you. We miss you.
Robert Andrew Spencer.
Mary Rubina Sperando.
Frank Spinelli.
William E. Spitz.
Joseph Patrick Spohr, Jr.
Klaus Johannes Sprockham.
Saranya Sherinan.
Fitzroy St. Rose.
Michael F. Stable.
Lawrence T. Stack.
Timothy M. Stackpool.
Richard James Stadelberger.
Eric Adam Stallman.
Gregory Stike.
Alexandru LaRue Stan.
Karina Stan.
Mary Demencia Stanley.
Anthony Storita.
Jeffrey Stark.
Derek James Stakevicius.
Patricia J. Stotts.
Craig William Staub.
William V. Steckman.
Eric Thomas Steen.
William R. Steiner.
Alexander Robbins Steinman.
Edna L. Stevens.
Andrew Sturgiopoulos.
Andrew J. Stern.
Norma Lang Stewerley.
Martha Jane Stevens.
Michael James Stewart.
Richard H. Stewart, Jr.
Sanford M. Stoller.
Douglas Joel Stone.
Lonnie J. Stout.
Jimmy Neville Story.
Timothy Stout.
Thomas Strada.
James J. Strain, Jr.
Edward W. Straub.
George J. Strouch, Jr.
Edward Thomas Strauss.
Stephen R. Strauss.
Larry L. Strickland.
Stephen F. Strobert.
Waylon Wellington Stewart, Jr.
Benjamin Suarez.
David Scott Suarez.
Ramon Suarez.
Dino Xavier Suarez Ramirez.
Yoichi Sumiyama Sugiyama.
William Christopher Sugra.
Daniel Thomas Sewer.
David Mark Sullins.
Christopher P. Sullivan.
Hilario Serrano Sumaya Jr.
Thomas G. Sullivan.
And my mother, Virginia Elizabeth Fox. Mommy, I asked God for 15 years to bring me back a piece of you. And then he brought this little girl into my life and made life a whole lot better for me. We love you, we miss you, we can't replace you, and we won't try, Mommy, but we're gonna do what you asked us to do.
James Joseph Suazo. And my beautiful aunt, Lucille Teresa King, and Local 1 International Union of Elevator Constructors brother and hero, Chuck Costello.
Say you love you, Grandma.
Love you, Grandma.
Colin M. Sapisky.
Robert Sutcliffe.
Celine Sutter.
Claudia Suzette Sutton.
John Francis Swain.
Christine M. Swearson.
Brian David Sweeney.
Brian Edward Sweeney.
Madeline Amy Sweeney.
Kenneth J. Swenson.
Thomas F. Swift.
Derek Ogilvie Sword.
Kevin Thomas Zozak.
Gina Steinberg.
Norbert P. Shavkowski.
Harry Tabak.
Joanne C. Tabak.
Norma C. Tadai.
Michael Tado Neo.
Kaishiro Takahashi.
Keishi Takashi.
Phyllis Gale Talbot.
Robert R. Tahami.
John Talignani.
Sean Patrick Tellon.
Paul Talty.
Morita Tam.
Rachel Tamares.
Hector Morgan Tamaya.
Michael Andrew Tamuccio.
Kemi Shario Tamkea.
Rondell Sherry Tankard.
Michael Anthony Tanner.
Dennis Gerard Taramina Jr.
Kenneth Joseph Taranio.
Alan Tarasarich.
Michael C. Tarot.
Ronald Tartaro.
Deborah Chevalier Rella.
Daryl Anthony Taylor.
Deani Brooke Taylor.
Hilda E. Taylor.
Kip P. Taylor.
Leonard E. Taylor.
Larissa Salon Taylor.
Michael Morgan Taylor.
Sandra C. Taylor.
Sandra Dawn Teague.
Carl W. Tippy.
Paul A. Techtmeyer.
Yeshivant Morvar Tape.
Anthony Tempesta.
Dorothy Pearl Temple.
Stanley L. Temple.
David Gotaf Peter Tambran.
Brian John Terenzi.
Lisa Marie Terry.
Gumati Thackerdeen.
Hashat Sham Tatim.
Michael Theodoridis.
And my loving sister, Nicola Angela Thorpe. And for my youngest sweet sister, Nicola Angela Thorpe, we miss you. Your mother miss you, Valda Baines, and your sisters and your brothers also miss you. And you're missed from Jamaica, Spanish Town, and we migrated from Jamaica, and we all miss you from Kingston, Jamaica, and Spanish Town. Thank you.
And my handsome, crazy, fun big brother, Joseph John Hassan III. Joe, there are no words to express how much your family and friends love and miss you. The pain from your loss never ends. My heart breaks for all you've missed. Watching your handsome son grow, your incredible nieces and nephews, your devoted wife, your brothers, your family, your whole family. My heart breaks for all 3,000, almost 3,000 precious souls that were lost on that day. You should be here enjoying life and growing old with us. It goes without saying that we and all of us here will never forget, but the country and world must never forget, not only that day, but also the days, the weeks, the months after where we all came together. I'd love to see that again. And lastly, I know my brother would want me to give a big thank you to all the first responders, firemen, police officers, our military, for all they do. We owe them a world of gratitude and our utmost respect. They put their lives on the line trying to keep us safe every day. God bless you all. God bless America. And Joe, until we meet again, I'll love you forever. Thank you.
Thomas F. Thurkoff, Jr.
Leslie Ann Thomas.
Brian Thomas Thompson.
Clive Ian Thompson.
Glenn Thompson.
Nigel Bruce Thompson.
Perry A. Thompson.
Vanava Alexi Thompson.
William H. Thompson.
Eric Raymond Thorpe.
Nicola Angela Thorpe.
Tamara C. Thurman.
Sal Edward Thierry, Jr.
John Patrick Tierney.
Mary Ellen Tiesi.
William Randolph Tista.
Kenneth Tejan.
Stephen Edward Ty.
Scott Charles Timmis.
Michael E. Tinley.
Jennifer M. Tino.
Robert Frank Tipaldi.
John James Tipping II.
David Tirado.
Hector Luis Tirado, Jr.
Michelle Lee Titolo,
Alicia Nicole Titus,
John J. Tobin,
Richard J. Tedisco,
Otis V. Tolbert,
Vladimir Tomasevich,
Stephen Kevin Thompson,
Thomas Tong,
Doris Torres,
Luis Eduardo Torres,
Amy Elizabeth Toyin,
Christopher Michael Trena,
Daniel Patrick Trant,
Abdul Karim Traore,
Glenn J. Travers Sr.,
Walter Philip Travers,
Felicia Yvette Trailer Bass,
James Anthony Trentini,
Mary Barbara Trentini,
Lisa L. Tretola,
Karamo Baba Trera,
Michael Angel Trinidad,
Francis Joseph Trambino,
Gregory James Trost,
Willie Q. Troy,
William P. Slepis Jr.,
Janetta Valentinovna Soy,
Michael Patrick Tucker,
Lance Richard Tumulty,
Ching Ping Tung,
Simon James Turner,
Donald Joseph Tuzio,
Robert T. Twome,
Jennifer Lynn Temis,
John G. Yulthofer,
and my uncle, Bart Joseph Ruggieri. We live each day with your memory in our hearts, and although you cannot be here with us, your legacy continues to build through all those who are lucky enough to have shared a single moment with you. We love and miss you every day, and we will never forget.
and my uncle, Richard H. Stewart. Your family and friends love and miss you, and we live every day with your memory in our hearts.
Tyler Victor Ugalan,
Michael A. Uliano,
Jonathan J. Uman,
Anil Shivari Umakar,
Alan V. Upton,
Diane Marie Urban,
John Damian Focaccio,
Bradley Hodges Vadas,
William Valcarcel,
Felix Antonio Vale,
Ivan Vale,
Benito Valentin,
Santos Valentin Jr.,
Carlton Francis Valvo II,
Pendiala Vamsakrishna,
Erica H. Van Acker,
Kenneth W. Van Auken,
R. Bruce Van Hine,
Daniel M. Van Leer,
Edward Raymond Vanacore,
John Charles Vander,
Frederick T. Varachi,
Gopala Krishnan Varadin,
David Vargas,
Scott C. Vassell,
Azael Ishmael Vasquez,
Ronald J. Vork,
Archangel Vasquez,
Santos Vasquez,
Peter Vega,
Sankara Sastry Velamori,
Jorge Velasquez,
Lawrence G. Velling,
Anthony Mark Ventura,
David Vera,
Loretta Ann Vero,
Christopher James Villalonga,
Matthew Gilbert Viana,
Robert Anthony Fisciaro,
Celeste Torres Victoria. God bless her.
Joanna Vidal,
I got it. John T. Vigiano II,
Joseph Vincent Vigiano,
Frank J. Vignola, Jr.,
Joseph Barry Villardo,
Clarabelle Villalobos Hernandez,
Sergio Gabriel Villanova,
Chantal Vincelli,
Melissa Renee Vincent,
Francine Ann Vergiolo,
Lawrence Virgilio,
Joseph Gerard Diciano,
Joshua S. Vitale,
Maria Percoco Vola,
Lynette D. Vasquez,
Garo H. Voskarigian,
Alfred Anton Vukosa,
Gregory Kamal Bruno Wackler,
Karen J. Wagner,
Mary Alice Wallstrom,
and my sister Deborah Ann DiMartino. On September 11th, 2001, through a senseless act of terrorism, our loved ones were taken from us. My sister Deborah Ann DiMartino was a loving daughter, wife, mother of two beautiful daughters, and sister. Debbie embraced life and immersed herself in her family and work. She was gentle, loving, and beautiful, just like the butterflies she admired. On October 2001, during the ceremony near Ground Zero, I held up a picture of my sister as high as I could so the world could see her beautiful face and with some hope of being found. As I held her picture on this cold day, a beautiful butterfly circled, landed on her picture, and then flew out of sight. We took this as a sign, a message from Debbie, letting us know that she was okay and would come to us when we needed her. Through the years when we were troubled, angry, sad, and heartbroken, a butterfly would appear. Is this coincidence or a true sign to comfort us? Looking out at familiar faces, feeling the pain we all possess. I hope that one day everyone can find a symbol of peace. We will never overcome September 11th. We will never forget. But we all must hold on to the memories we have and find peace.
That was great. And my brother, Barry Simowitz, Tower 2, 79th floor, Sky Lobby. Barry, we miss you and we love you and we think about you every day. God bless you. God bless all the victims. God bless our first responders. God bless the military. God bless America. God bless democracy. Thank you.
Honor Elizabeth Waino.
Gabriela Silvina Bussman.
Wendy Alice Rosario Wakeford.
Courtney Wainsworth Walcott.
Victor Wald.
Kenneth Waldy.
Benjamin James Walker.
Glenn Wall.
Mitchell Scott Wallace.
Peter Guider Wallace.
Robert Francis Wallace.
Matthew Blake
Jean-Marie Wallendorf.
John Wallace Jr.
Meta L. Waller.
Jim Walsh.
Barbara P. Walsh.
Jing Wing.
Jeffrey P. Walls.
Michael Vecchiola.
Wee Bin Wang.
Timothy Ray Ward.
Stephen Gordon Ward.
Brian G. Warner.
James A. Waring.
Charles Waters.
Derek Christopher Washington.
Patrick J. Waters.
James Thomas Waters, Jr.
Michael Henry Wave.
Kenneth Thomas Watson.
Walter Edward Weaver.
Todd Christopher Weaver.
Dinah Webster.
Nathaniel Webb.
Joanne Flora Will,
William Michael Weems,
Stephen Weinberg,
Michael T. Weinberg,
Stephen George Weinstein,
Scott Jeffrey Weingard,
David M. Weiss,
Simon Weiser,
Chin Sun Pack Wells,
David Thomas Weiss,
Deborah Jacobs Walsh,
Vincent Michael Wells,
Christina Mans Rudolph Weimers,
Timothy Matthew Welty,
John Joseph Weckness,
Su Hu Wen,
Peter M. West,
Ola D. Wengerchuk,
Meredith Lynn Whalen,
Whitfield West Jr.,
Adam S. White,
Eugene Michael Whalen,
James Patrick White,
Edward James White III,
and my brother Joey, Joe Calandrillo. Just a good man. I mean, always putting everybody before himself. And I know he's been watching me, miss my hook shot center court 8 out of 10 times lately. And I don't know where we go when we leave here, but if they have schoolyards, he'll pick me for his team anyway, even though I'm no good anymore. No, that's Joey. I mean, always doing something for somebody else. And, oh, and I didn't forget our last one-on-one in Plainview, and you owe me a rematch. I finally got the damn ball away from you. And like an idiot, I ran to center court with a great for teams, but playing against you, the bonehead move. Took my shot, you waited, one jump, you had the ball, game over for me. I miss you, Joey, I really do. Well, eventually we'll get to the same place anyway. Oh, and somehow my Moses Malone ended up in your trunk and I want it back. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.
and my uncle, John M. Poacher. I'm too young to have met the people whose names have been read this morning, including my uncle, but instead I get to meet the people who they touched during their lives, and those who continue to carry on their legacy. And the strength, courage, and perseverance that you all continue to show every day, every year when you come here, is truly inspiring to me.
John Sylvester White.
Kenneth Wilburn White, Jr.
Leonard Anthony White.
Melissa Y. White.
Maudlin A. White.
Sandra L. White.
Wayne White.
Leanne Marie Whiteside.
Mark P. Whitford.
Leslie A. Whittington.
Michael T. Holy.
Mary Lenz Wyman.
Jeffrey David Wiener.
William J. Wick.
Allison Marie Wildman.
Glenn E. Wilkinson.
Ernest M. Wilcher.
John Charles Willett.
Brian Patrick Williams.
Candace Lee Williams.
Crossley Richard Williams, Jr.
David J. Williams.
David Lucian Williams.
Debbie L. Williams.
Dwayne Williams.
Kevin Michael Williams.
Louis Anthony Williams.
Louis Calvin Williams III.
John P. Williamson.
Donna Ann Wilson.
William Eben Wilson.
David Harold Winton.
Glenn J. Winnock.
Thomas Francis Wise.
Alan L. Wisniewski.
Frank Paul Wisniewski.
Davis Wiswall.
Sigrid Charlotte Wilsey.
Michael R. Wittenstein.
Christopher W. Woodencheck.
Martin Phillips Woolforth.
Catherine Susan Wolf.
Jennifer Yen Wong.
Suchong Steve Wong.
Yin Ping Wong.
Yuk Ping Wong.
Brent James Woodall.
James John Woods.
Marvin Roger Woods.
Patrick J. Woods.
Richard Heron Woodwell.
David Terrence Woolley.
John Bentley Works.
Martin Michael Wortley.
Rodney James Watton.
William Wren, retired.
John W. Wright, Jr.
Neil Robin White.
Sandra Lee Wright.
Jupiter Yembin.
And my sister, Gabriella Sylvina Weissman. 22 years ago today, we lost my sister, Gabby. The phrase never forget has become synonymous with the day. I say always remember, because that is what my family and families who have lost a loved one on 9/11 do on a daily basis, not just on the anniversary of that day. We remember Gabby's smile, her laugh, her wit, her kind ways, her great sense of humor, her infamous April Fool's jokes, her love and understanding for all people of every walk of life, her willingness to help others always, and her inimitable way of living life in the moment. We also remember all of the responders and all of those brave people who have since passed as a result of 9/11 related illnesses, and also remember and are grateful to the members of our armed forces for fighting for our country to protect us all. We thank the 9/11 Memorial Foundation for making sure that the world too remembers and for keeping this important tradition alive. My hope is that today everyone takes at least one moment out of their busy lives to remember and reach out to those who have lost loved ones. It doesn't take the pain of the loss away. Unfortunately, nothing ever will, but it helps to know that others remember too.
And my cousin, firefighter Thomas Anthony Casoria. To his mother, Judy, father, Carlos, and son, also a firefighter, Carlos Jr., as well as my extended family in New York City, your family in Chicago, where I'm from, shares your pain and pray for your healing. To all the persons that are in front of me and those that aren't unable to attend today, many of you I recognize as me standing in front a number of the years. My condolences to you as well. To those who have died and are suffering from cancers associated with being contaminated from substances from the debris, may you rest in peace, and may your doctors and faith heal your suffering. Thank you to the staff of the 911 Memorial, and in particular Ms. Hillman, in continuing this honored ceremony each year. Thank you to our elected officials who continue to attend our ceremony over the years for your support. A big thank you to Mayor Bloomberg for his support of the 911 Memorial Museum. Thank you to President Bush and Governor Pataki for your leadership during the most trying time our country has faced. And a special thanks to Mayor Rudy Giuliani for his extreme calm in the face of the worst disaster the USA has ever faced, and your attendance at my cousin's funeral on August 9th, 2002. It will always be remembered, and we will be grateful forever. Most of all, to the first responders who run in when everybody else runs out. May St. Florian and St. Michael protect you each and every day and keep you safe. And may God bless us all.
John D. Yamnicki, Sr.
Suresh Yanamadala.
Vicky Yancey.
Shuyin Yang.
Matthew David Yarnell.
Myrna Yaskulka.
Shakila Yasmin.
Olabisi Shadi Layeni Yi.
Kevin W. Yoakum.
Edward P. York.
Kevin Patrick York.
Raymond R. York.
Suzanne Martha Yeomans.
Barrington Leroy Young, Jr.
Donald MacArthur Young.
Edmund G. Young, Jr.
Jacqueline Young.
Lisa L. Young.
Elkin Ewan.
Joseph C. Zaccoli.
Adele Agabi Zakari.
Arkady Zaltzman.
Edwin J. Zambrana, Jr.
Robert Allen Zampieri.
Mark Zangrelli.
Christopher R. Zarba, Jr.
Ira Zaslow.
Kenneth Albert Zellman.
Abraham J. Zalmanowitz.
Martin Morales Zempuel Tecatel.
Zhe Jing.
Mark Scott Zeppelin.
Ji Yao Justin Zhao.
Yuguang Zheng.
Evelyn Zimniski.
Michael Joseph Zinsi.
Charles Allen Zion.
Julie Lynn Zipper.
Salvatore J. Zizza.
Prokopios Paul Zois.
Joseph J. Sukala.
Andrew Stephen Zucker.
Igor Zuckelman.
And my big brother, Andrew Ira Rosenblum. Andy, in the last 2 decades, your 2 young sons have grown to become exceptional grown men with families of their own. You have 2 grandsons right now, a 3rd grandchild on the way. Our family loves you. We miss you. We think of you every day. You will never be forgotten. God bless America.
And my husband, Bernard Petronico, 104th floor, Cantor Fitzgerald. We've learned how to live with it, but we've never gotten over it. We miss you. We love you every day.
I want to thank everyone here today, and especially the September 11th, the National September 11th Memorial and Museum, because I have the distinct honor of reading the names of those that might have been missed by other readers, but their names are never forgotten here, ever. So here we go. James William Barbarella. Lawrence Ira Beck. Carl John Biedigan. Jeremy Kaz Carrington. Christopher Michael Karstingen. Vivian Casalduk. Richard G. Cattarelli. Juan Armando Ceballos. Charles A. Droz III. Michael E. Esposito. Meredith Emily June Ewart. Catherine K. Fagan. Richard Peter Gabriel. Joseph F. Holland. Robert Allen Miller. Scott J. O'Brien. Dennis James O'Connor, Jr. Ada Rosario. Mark David Rothenberg. Patrick Sullivan. Gabriella Sylvina Wiseman. Roy Michael Wallace. And Matthew Blake Wallens. Thank you.